Okay, before I start the quest, I'm gonna do this, get some more thing. I'm gonna actually try it out. I've actually leveled my Lucia, so she's pretty decently stacked. So we'll give. What? Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. All I did was change my current party, not actually the actual squad. Let's try this. Oh, actually, I should probably do the demo, because I don't know actually how to play her. Yeah, actually, after this, I'm gonna actually figure out how to use her properly. She's strong enough where, like, I mean, they're all strong enough where it's like, yeah, whatever. Oh, that was the last one alive. The other one died. Yeah, not the fastest. Obviously, it's hard to beat. It's hard to beat Alice because Alice starts out with a full gauge, which means she can instantly basically kill everything in that first wave by just holding down the basic attack button. Because she'll charge up her attack, and do a really strong hit, and then you can swap the other two, and then you start with energy, so you can then do your skill. So like the main boss in the first wave, who probably won't be dead, you can do one Alice skill, and that usually kills it as well. So then that's wave 1 down. So also I don't have this maxed out. She still has more energy and more stuff, which will, I mean, realistically, it's not terrible. Like, it's 16.7. The only thing that this will improve is her base attack, which shouldn't really matter. Her energy recharge, which is definitely going to be helpful. But yeah. But anyway, let's get this max. Not really maxed out. Let's get this level 7. So everything now needs purple. Okay. So does this change? Okay, so this does change. It seems like I assume that the whole like every 200 points max HP grants this number amount of sheer force. I assume that the max HP you need is still the same to get the max buff. This just gives more buff the higher it is. Because right now, because I calculated what it was before at level 10, I was like, oh, okay, like, I think it was like 7.0 and like 852 or something like that. And I was like, okay. So I divided 852 by 7 and then multiplied it by 200 to figure out how much HP she would need. Yeah, I calculated that. And it was like 24,000 HP, which I got her some equipment, and she has 24,000. But yeah, like pretty much like the people's recommendation was HP, 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 and these ones, which also has some HP substats. So she has actually surprisingly high crit damage because the other ones rolled like that. But still, yeah, I just barely got to the threshold to get the max bonus for it, so that's pretty sweet. Okay, so, and then when this is maxed, it's a max of 900, okay. Reduced by 24. So yeah, I think 852 was it, because it's 852 plus 24 was 876, and then plus 24, 900. Okay, so it must be accounting the fact that, okay, you're assuming that, so the max buff, basically you want her to get 24,000 HP, that gives the max buff, which I have, perfect, so she's basically built. I don't have to worry about anything else. I mean, obviously, I'll still go and try to get her stuff leveled, per the recommendation. I'll go after her basic attack, quick assist and burst. I'll ignore the dodge for now. That's typically kind of what I do. The thing that's the most recommended, I'll max. So the fact that her core, well, obviously you want to level everyone's core up, and I got her skill up to 12, but her burst and basic attack and that are second priority. So I don't usually max them out. So I'm not going to use up one of the special items that you need to get to max level. But that should be good enough. But yeah, so... Oh, actually, yeah. Let me do the... Where's the demo? Here we go. How the fuck am I actually supposed to play her? Because, I mean, I did her skill, and then it gave me the quick assist off to Jufufu. I'm like, okay, cool. That's good. It seems like doing her skill will trigger a assist. I don't get what the point of Whim is then. Like, oh, it's divided into Whim and Harmony, but like Harmony is what applies the Darkbreaker, and Harmony, gets increased damage based on her HP. So it seems like Harmony is all that matters, and Whim doesn't mean shit because it's like, yeah, Whim includes these attacks. I'm like, well, okay, why even give it a status, right? Why not just say Harmony is this? Like, these are the things that count as Harmony, nothing else does. Like, why create another state? Why create another name? Okay, so I think that's probably that little purple circle that appears underneath me. Oh, I see. So that's why. Well, no, because that doesn't even make sense, right? It gains dream points when activating Whim and Harmony. Oh, I see. So Whim only is the 5th basic attack hit, and certain other things. But basically, they want to exclude basic attacks 1 through 4. So they don't want you to get dream points on certain abilities, certain things, which, I mean, I can't remember what the Whim was, but it seemed like Whim was like, yeah, here's Whim is for 5th basic hit, defense assist, shit like that. Harmony is like normal assist and all this other shit. So I was like, it seems like the only thing that doesn't accrue dream points is just basic attack 1 through 4. And she's 100, blah, blah, blah. Affects all squad members. Oh, interesting. Max HP, which is... Okay. Not under the effect. How long does it last, though? Oh, let me see. Okay. So that's the whole point. She goes to the dream state, which turns her gauge purple. And so her whims will now be considered as harmonies, which normally are harder things that are less likely to proc. Harder things that are less likely to proc, but you need to be in dream state to get all your little bonus ability. So you want to... Yeah, so she exits dream state when she uses it all up. I guess it doesn't seem like it's possible to... Yeah, so there was that. The gauge went down a bit. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell because Yishuan is so powerful anyway. But yeah, so it seems like she's a pretty good buffer for that. The fact that she grants max HP is pretty useful too, because the max HP... Yishuan does get some bonuses based on her HP, but the problem is she also scales off attack. So you don't want to like forego attack for HP. You don't want to forego attack for HP, because HP, I think it just increases her like rupture damage or her sheer force. So her max HP determines her sheer force to a degree. Like it provides some extra bonuses to sheer force. So it's good for her rupture damage, but her attacks and all that stuff still scale off of attack and all that shit. So you don't want to abandon it. But the fact that Lucia can, or Lucia perhaps. Oh, I don't have to hold... I thought I had to hold down the basic. I thought I had to hold it down for her to do this attack. If I can still just continue to button mash it and she'll do it. Okay. That's actually... It's good to know. I wasn't aware of that.
まんべんなく。番なのです。ああ、ふん。やっ。ふん。不潔ですね。爆破解体を始めよう。それ行くよ。極上の流れ星。ドレスが汚れると言ってるのです。やっ。ふん。来たよ。行くよ。
Oh, interesting. So he drains his own HP. See, this is actually kind of interesting because in with the adversity buffs within Hollow Zero, there's a lot of ones that are like, oh, if your HP is a lower percentage, or if you have low HP, you get a lot of bonuses and extra damage and shit like that. And typically the buffs that you get are also include like lowering your HP. So the buffs themselves, the Rosonium, do have methods of lowering your HP artificially so that you can, get these bonuses. But we haven't really had a character that actually lowers it themselves to guarantee it. Because like some of the buffs are like also recover your HP, so it's like, so you lower your HP and then like doing an ultimate will give some HP back, or doing an EX special will get your HP back. So it's kind of like the buffs are kind of designed to allow you to have low HP, but also have methods of sustaining yourself. Because otherwise you lower your HP to the point where you have like no HP and one hit will kill you, which is obviously like very, very risky. So yeah. So it is interesting that he has the method of doing that, and he seems to have a rupture. He's a rupture character, so he's the second rupture character we had. I see. So okay. So basically, when I have that gauge, my every attack lowers HP, I guess, and I have the EX special to charge that gauge. Okay, wait, what? It's like after using his assist, press my view. Oh, I see. I have to. There we go. Yeah, sorry. Defense assist is the parry, not the little random assist that appears. Okay. Oh, I see. I don't need to be full charged. Okay. No, thanks. I'm not interested. Don't need. Okay, there's all the bonuses. I mean, as I said, I'm not interested. I don't need any art. I'm perfectly fine the way I am. Okay, so now I know how to actually play Lucia. So, what's my party? Is my party Lucia? Okay, yeah, so I did swap my party out. Yeah, for some reason I thought that was changing the preset, but I didn't actually change the preset. Whoopsie. Oh, interesting. So they now give you a little warning when it's about to be up. I mean, that's cool, I guess. I don't really ever do it. Honestly, I should. It's not that hard to do. It's not like it's hard to do if you want to get max score, because it's a timed event. It's a time trial, and I absolutely hate time trials. I just don't like having a timer hanging above my head. So it is kind of annoying to a degree, but it's basically like it's Jesus Christ, just keep going. It's basically like the what was it? Spiral Abyss from Genshin. It's the kind of thing where it's like I don't feel like doing it. I don't really care about it. Okay, so I guess. Actually, wait a minute. One sec. Or no, is it this? So yeah, so it's like the Spiral Abyss. It's one of these things that happen like every 2 weeks, or every you can do it basically twice a month, and it's just like it's a time trial. I don't really like it, but if you want to get like the minimum rewards, like it's not super difficult to do the first like getting all 3 rewards from every single fight. So basically, there's 3 fights, and if you get a certain level, if you do it, there's 3 tiers for the fight. So you either get B, A, or S rank, all of which give rewards. I think you get a reward for every single rank, and then you get extra rewards for how many basically stars. So it's like Spiral Abyss in the sense you also get stars as well. So oh, I see. That's what it is. Yeah, I thought I had a trust event. No, I thought I was tracking this. Here we go. So it's like you get stars for it, and so if you get 9 stars, you've obviously maxed it. All right. So if you get 9 stars, you've gotten S rank in all 3 of them. And the tough thing is that you can only use, so for each of those 3 fights, you can't use the same party member twice. So you have to have at least 9 party members who ideally fit a certain type, because like each enemy has its own strengths and weaknesses. So it's like it'll resist certain elements, it'll be weak to certain elements. So like if it's weak to lightning or electricity, you want to at least have 2 to 3 strong electric units that can take advantage of that, because that will make it easier for you to, beat a certain amount of his health, so that you can get the S rank. Since you are timed, I think you're given like 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, I think, to do as much damage as possible. And so obviously, if you are able to utilize the type weaknesses that they have, you can do it easier. So that's what kind of sucked, especially early on. I mean, to be fair, this didn't exist right when the game first started. It is relatively new, but it is still one of those things where it's like, if you're not pulling for literally every single character, you might not have, have enough of the characters of the correct type. So, like, I had a huge issue where, like, I just didn't have a lot of electric type characters. One, because they just didn't have that many of them, for one. So it's like, and then two, when they started introducing them, they weren't super strong or they didn't have good supports. Like, I got Soldier 11, or Soldier Zero Ambi, because I wanted a good a lightning DPS, but she wasn't like super strong by herself. Like, and trying to find characters that like fit her, that like complemented her was kind of rough. And then Trigger came out, and it's like, okay, cool. And obviously, they came in the same patch, I believe. It was just Soldier. It was Ambi first, then Trigger. But it just meant like that first round, I didn't have good supports for her. So like I had Arena, but Rena's debuffs, or Rena's buff is really, really short. Like, it increases your penetration ratio really high, but it's like you just get a very small window to implement a lot of burst damage, which luckily Seed can kind of use, You can do her swap to Seed, or swap to Soldier, swap to Ambi, sorry. Not Seed, Seed's on my screen, that's why I'm saying this. Swap to Ambi, then hold her skill, do an EX special, and then follow up with 3 regular EX attacks to do your 3 attacks. Or do her burst, then triangle, 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 then hold triangle, then triangle, triangle, triangle again to get the max. But the problem is, like, Rena's like penetration ratio buff is like 6 seconds. It's like so fucking small. Or maybe it's longer than that. Maybe it's 12 seconds. I think Nicole's one is like 6 seconds. So Nicole's buff is a 6-second buff, which is like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, you swap to your character and you get like 2 attacks and then you're done. A buff that short is just like so fucking annoying. Because it's like, it just hamstrings you. It's like, it definitely has a skill ceiling and a skill cap for it. Because it's the kind of thing where it's like you have to be good enough to be able to swap to a character and then get as much damage as possible within that 6 seconds. Like, that's the whole point. But the problem is that, it just makes it also incredibly restricted. So characters that do consistent damage characters that do consistently high damage for their entire duration are not great for this. Like, it's, sure, like, it'll still benefit Nicole's buff, but characters that can, like, where 90% of their damage happens within a 6-second window, well, obviously those are the ones that Nicole's buff will really, really help. Because you can swap to them, do that 90% of your damage with Nicole's, I think it's a defense shred buff. So you'll really maximize your damage. So, like, Evelyn kind of gets a little bit of that. The problem is that her wind-up for her string attack is a little too long. And that takes a while. Like, you can get her burst out, and if she has the max charge, you can do her attack, but like it's incredibly restrictive because so looks like I'm on a supplemental shit. So let's start the quest. Like I said, it's just incredibly restrictive because you're kind of like forced to keep things. You're forced to kind of make sure that everything works in a tighter window as possible. Which there are some characters that benefit from that, but a lot don't. And so it's just like it's incredibly restrictive for party comp. It's incredibly restrictive for skill because you have to be able to have a character that can do that much damage within that amount of time frame, and also be a person who can consistently make sure you get max damage within that 6-second window. It's incredible shit. I don't like that. I don't like getting that restricted. I prefer buffs that have a little more wiggle room. That's why, like in Genshin, when I get constellations and characters, oftentimes the constellations I do get are the ones that increase windows for shit, where it's like, oh yeah, it increases the skill, it increases the cooldown, or it decreases the cooldown for some things, which gives you more wiggle room when trying to get your combos down. You know, so you don't have to be like, oh no, I have to do these attacks, then the skill, then these attacks, then the skill. Or like to maximum uptime, only 3 of my 5 basic attacks, then my skill, then 4 of my 5 basic attacks, then my skill. For max uptime type shit or max damage, it's like, oh, fuck that. Like, I'd rather just, you know. I don't like rotations like that. That's why, like, I really don't like Wuthering Waves, is because, like, swap canceling and dodge canceling, and really swap canceling, is like so common there, or animation canceling. Like in Genshin, there was a few instances where it's like, oh, okay, for Klee and Hu Tao, you can animation cancel some of their attacks to get them a more consistent damage output, and a higher damage output by canceling some long animations. Sure, right? But like, it's few and far between. There aren't that many characters in Genshin that really benefit from that, or where that's even possible. Whereas like Wuthering Waves, it's like no, pretty much every character is like, yeah, you do this attack, you do this skill, you animation cancel out of the skill, move to this character. Like every character you have to animation cancel out of and swap cancel out of to like do your routine. And it's like, holy fuck, like Jesus Christ, like it's what the reason why I don't play fighting games is because I don't want to have to memorize a fuckload of button combinations for every character's attack. Like I don't want to have to know, you know, 20 button combinations to do every single one of my 20 attacks for every fucking character, you know, if I want to play other characters, right? And I get, like, that's why a lot of people main certain characters in fighting games where it's like, oh, no, I'm this character because I learned the attacks for that character. I'm really good with the attacks for that character. I can do them really well, and I know what, you know, plays off of what, right? Not many people, you know, quote-unquote, main everything, just simply because of how annoying it is to have to memorize every character's combinations, what works well against what, and have the muscle memory for all of them. So, but like that's kind of what Wuthering Waves is kind of forcing you to do, where it's like, yep, each character has the moments where you need to swap cancel for maximum damage, and like you swap here, go to this attack so you can do this attack, get this buff going on, while then you swap back so you can use the power of that buff to get some extra damage, get a few extra hits, do your burst, and then swap to the other person. It's like, you know. Like Genshin is pretty simple. It's like it's skill burst, swap, skill burst, swap, skill burst, swap, and then you have your main, and then you have your main DPS who's on the field now, using the power of everyone's skills and bursts to do damage before they do their own burst, and either swap or you know, just do a swap or finish up their burst window, and then you swap to the first character and do the skill burst swapped again, right? So it's pretty simple in Genshin. Like, that is pretty much how it is. There is some swap canceling you can do, there are some silly shenanigans, but for the most part, like, the game is designed around that mentality, where your supports are just there to do their skill, do their burst, and then get off the field for the next character. So your main DPS character is operating under, you know, your support's skills and bursts all active, so that they can maximize the damage while they're on the field, right? Whereas, like, yeah, Wuthering Waves is way more complicated because there's less characters too. Genshin has 4 characters, so if you made it super complicated, it would make it really difficult to manage 4 characters. And so Wuthering Waves only has 3, so it gives them the leeway to fuck around with that shit. But it's also just like not fun because like the idea is like, you want to build up Concerto energy so you can get a good outro or an intro for your stuff. But these people are like, nope, I'm going to swap in the middle of it before my Concerto is up so that I can do a quick swap without using up Concerto. But you still want to build your Concerto and do your proper outros and intros because those provide the buffs you need for maximum damage. So it's like knowing when to Concerto out, when to do your outros and intros, and when it's safe to do your swap cancels so that you don't like prematurely get those outro and intro buffs while you're just kind of prepping. It's like, fuck that. Like, that's such a pain in the ass. Like, this game is not that bad either. Although, to be fair, Honkai Honkai Impact Third did get kind of like this, like get like Wuthering Waves, is that the game Honkai Impact Third existed for so long that they started introducing more and more complexity in how the characters battled. So it was like, hey, normally you have like your skill, you have your burst, and you had 3 characters too, so you're swapping between them, and doing like, dodge counters and all that shit. But then they were like, hey, actually, you know what we're going to do? In addition to your skill and your burst, we're going to introduce like character-specific weapons, or like skills that a weapon will have. So it's like, you really want to get your character with their weapon, so that they can get this weapon skill, which acts separately and its own separate cooldown and shit, which also works into their thing. And so that's kind of how it was. It was like they started a complexity with weapon skills, which I think any character with that weapon can use it, but obviously it's tailor-made for the character it's for. So obviously you'd want to make sure that character has it, because it like really ramps up their damage. But it was also incredibly... But then it also just added a few extra layers of complexity. To it. And then I think there was like some stuff where I was like, yeah, then with that like extra layer of complexity, people then realized, oh, actually, we can start swap canceling and animation canceling for some of these as well. So it's like, game's getting a little too sweaty. And I hope Zenless Zone Zero is set up, their combat is set up in a similar way, where it has 3 character parties. You can dodge counter, so dodging slows down time briefly. The parry thing is, I think, new. I don't think they had that in Honkai Impact Third. I don't think so. But they also have skills and bursts. I mean, which pretty much all their games do, but... So yeah, anyway, so I'm hoping that this game doesn't get like that. It's hard to say, because like, so far it seems like the character weapons are still just as powerful. They're designed perfectly for the character they support, so like you really kind of want them regardless. But they don't provide like additional skills, which then add layers of complexity to the fight. Although like Yi Xuan's abilities was interesting, 2 layers of bursts, and they have already implemented lots of characters that have their own special gauge that provides bonus effects. So I'm hoping it doesn't get more complex than that, but only time will tell. Like Honkai Impact Third, was out for like 7 years. Well, I think it was like 5 years, 4 or 5 years by the time they started like really ramping up on these like unique character weapons with unique weapon skills that did this whole, like, they had like weapons and with weapon skills pretty early on, but like they were relatively basic, where it was like, yeah, you do this little thing, it provides this so yeah. So even though like they had some really rudimentary ones where it was like, yeah, we did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, they really just slowly ramped up more and more until it was like, okay, now the skills are, now the skills are more intricate, now they have more interplay with each other, and then like every single character is having them, even like the non-S rank characters. I remember like one character, pretty sure she wasn't S rank, although she might have been. I forget. It's been a while since I played. But basically that's kind of like why I stopped playing, because it was like, it just got it got overly complicated. And then like the power creep was kind of rough. And they had a lot of fights and stuff where it was like to get maximum reward, like, it felt like you had to spend too much effort to get like the daily rewards, like the dailies, the quote-unquote dailies, the things you do every week, every day, just became a little too involved. Like, they had some like weekly stuff or like bi-weekly things where it was like you had to fight in this gauntlet. You have to do like 4 fights, but it's all of them were timed. And the first few were relatively easy, but then you had like a boss fight as the 4th, and then basically your performance in all of those determined how many points you got. And if you got within like the top 10 or top 5 or something, your rank would go up. And so basically, you increased your rank, and as your rank increases, you get more and more rewards for doing this every single week or twice every single week. But the problem is that as you're going up in rank, so is everybody else. So the challenge is going up. It's becoming harder and harder to clear these fights because they basically have more HP, do more damage, and you have to do a certain amount of damage within a certain time frame. So it became really difficult. So by the time you were getting like near the top ranks, it was becoming really annoying. The fights were becoming like really annoying and sweaty, and then you really had to like do the type advantages where it's like, oh, they're weak to ice. It's like, well, shit, right? And again, it's kind of like this game, or when I was talking about the Deadly Assault, where it's like, if you don't have characters that you're good at, if you don't have like ice characters, or like, because like, I had a few characters, I think my best characters were like ice and quantum, I think, but I didn't really have a good electric team. And so when you get one of these challenges and there's like, oh yeah, we're weak to electric, you're like, fuck. Like if you just don't have, or I think fire was always my weak team too. I just didn't have any good fire units, or the fire units I had, even if they were strong, I didn't have enough of them to form a full party, or they didn't synergize well with each other, or I just didn't like the playstyle of fire in general. So it was just like, it really sucked when you were like saying, hey, yeah, we're weak to fire. So if you try to like brute force it with a team that you're good with, like I think ice was my favorite team. I performed the best with, but like if they were resistant to ice, I was fucked. So I couldn't brute force it with them. So yeah, it became a huge pain in the butt. Where it's like, and it provides like resources to use to like level and shit. So it's like it's the kind of thing you kind of want to do every single week to make sure you're not, quote unquote, falling behind. So it just kind of sucked. It's just like basically like whenever you design like rewards and stuff, anything that's weekly or daily should be easy. It shouldn't be challenging. Like patch-wide stuff or monthly stuff, you can add some challenge there. Realistically, it shouldn't be super challenging. And for that like patch-wide or monthly shit, it shouldn't be. You should be able to get full rewards without being too challenging, but also have extra bonus shit that no one gives us. Like extra bonus rewards that aren't really meaningful, like extra money or something like that, for people who want to take an extra level of challenge, or like trophies and shit. Like for Deadly Assault, you get little badges depending on how many stars you got total. So you can have 1 to 9, or I guess it's really technically you have 0 through 9, 0 if you don't do it at all. So yeah, like that's the kind of thing where it's like you kind of want to make sure you're still rewarding people for doing the more challenging stuff, but also not making the challenging stuff super required, because that's how you get burnout people, right? You just like you give them some sort of thing which is kind of challenging, and if you have to do it too frequently, and that's kind of like what it was. Is that I mean this wasn't super challenging, but like the previous Hollow Zero was just tedious. It was just tedious. It was just really boring to do. It took way too long, and you were expected to do it twice. It was just like, holy shit, this is boring. And then they kind of improved it by getting Withering Garden, and then also making a fast track for it, so you could just ignore some of the stuff, and so it was a much more streamlined experience, more akin to what it currently was, and what current Hollow Zero is in Void Zero. But Void Zero is definitely more fun because of all the buffs and stuff, and the control you have over it. You can control which nodes you go to, whereas in the speedy path of Withering Garden, it was like, nope, here's your path. Hopefully you get the things you want, but it was quicker. And the problem is you also ended with Nineveh's fight, and Nineveh's fight was just so fucking annoying to do. It's just annoying. Because like you can attack her, but then she goes immune. She has a few immunity phases where you have to defeat all her little tentacles around and defeat her ads, and then hide behind the fucking pillar thing, and then continue to fight her. It's just like the immunity phases, the times where she's like just doing raid-wide damage, you just gotta fucking avoid and dodge. It's just like not fun to do. Whereas like other fights where it's like, I mean, generally, immunity phases always suck, right? Like, the things I hate the most about the newest Nemesis fights with the ones with the miasma shields is that, like, when their miasma shield goes up, they start attacking from random. They start, like, disappearing and becoming untargetable while they do a flurry of attacks. It's like they disappear. Okay, now you can counter. And so what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to wait. The problem is that they're like, well, you can parry this to reduce their shield, or you could your ultimate can go through the shield. So you think, oh, maybe I can do my ultimate, but unlike when doing your ultimate in normal mode with enemies without a miasma shield, you can kind of stagger them. So when an enemy who doesn't have a shield gets hit by an ultimate, they usually get staggered and are unable to move while the ultimate is going on. So you can get all damage on the ultimate. But the miasma shield enemies, if you do an ultimate, even if they start getting hit by it, basically, because the miasma shield seems to cover their stun gauge, and it seems like if you have an active stun gauge, you can kind of stagger them, but with a shield over it, you can't. And so you basically, if you do your ultimate, chances are you're going to miss a lot of your hits, because they're going untargetable for some of them. And I think they should be targetable throughout the entire thing. You want to zip around and do some damage, that's fine. But if I do an AoE ultimate, every single one of those hits should still hit you. You know? So that's what I think. So even if like there's, because basically it just sucks. You do your ultimate thinking, okay, cool, I think they're going to stop right now. Like, I think this is the moment where they're going to pause for a few seconds, so I'll get my ultimate out, get my damage out, but then they just disappear a second later and you just miss the remainder of your hits. You're like, well, that fucking sucks. So yeah, I don't think that should be it. Crap. Okay, so yeah, I wasted too much time. So I just started the quest before I actually start. So I'm gonna put a pin in this because I've already been walking for almost an hour, and obviously this is gonna ramp up and do more quests. So before I get ramped up into it, now I'll be, if I wasn't getting into my previous game rants, maybe I could have gotten further. But I'm also not in a huge rush because I'll be doing this tomorrow as well. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So I'm hoping this game doesn't fall into that same trap. I think Honkai Impact it's already kind of too late for them. I think also their story just kind of went off the wall. Like they had a pretty interesting story. Well, I mean, the beginning part was kind of boring. But then it started ramping up. And like, when we kind of, Auto Apocalypse was, a good villain. And then it was kind of interesting where we learned about the alternate worlds, Kevin and the Flame Reavers, or whatever the fuck they were called. Whatever that brigade was, with Vilvi and all that. Like, it was interesting learning about that, and basically they kind of had their own little, virtual universe. So it was kind of like Hollow Zero and Spiral Abyss type of shit, where you did, weekly events. And then there was, a whole story event where it's like, oh, now you actually are just going to go through their world and learn about the history and all that shit, and learn more about all of those characters in the squad. The Moth Squad? The Flame Moth or something? I forget what it's called. But basically, yeah. It was that kind of shit. And it was interesting. And then it kind of ended with the culmination where it's like, oh, okay, now Kevin's trying to, destroy the world or whatever. Because he's trying to, do something, break the system out. I don't know, some dumb thing that was dumb. And so basically we beat them. We beat him. And then Kiana became essentially a god. But, by that point, it was already starting to kind of become a little weird. Because, early in the game, it was like, oh, Hershers are special entities. Hershers are rare. There aren't that many of them. But then, and then we just started meeting Hersher after Hersher after Hersher. It was like, oh, yeah. There's the Hersher of Reason, who was Welt. And then, Bronya. And then, May became the Thunder Hersher, and then Kiana had the Void Hersher inside her, and it was and then you just kept meeting more and more of them, And that was okay. Where it's like, yeah, because like we were told there was like a double digit number of them. There was like we were told there was like over 10 of them. So we're like having them pop up again as natural disasters. Like, well, it's okay. Like, is there her share of ice? And then like, and then the characters themselves became multiple Hershers, where it's like, yeah, sure, like Kiana, who controlled the power of the void, now became like the Flame Shion Hersher, and Bronya got another Hersher power as well. And then like all three of them got special origin Hersher power. Like they just started like throwing it around. Like, yep, here's a new Hersher again. And it was like we just kept meeting new ones and more of them. And it's like, dude, like, okay, like these were supposed to be like these powerful like beings who are uncontrollable because of their power and rage and all that shit. And the Hersher powers were like the Honkai, like it was created by like Honkai energy, and that was really like bad and corrosive and shit. And it's like, no, but like all of them, and that was the whole thing. Is like the Hersher of Reason was like one of the few that could actually like help humanity, and all the other ones were kind of like anti-humanity. And so like Kiana communing with the void and trying to get it to be nice was like, okay, it's cool. Like they each had their own personalities, so they were able to come to terms with each other. So fine. But then it was just like the Hershers were just appearing and were also nice, like immediately. Like, I mean, and to some degree, some of them were still kind of antagonistic. Like the Hersher of Sentience within Fu Hua was like, okay, I guess she's kind of like a little antagonistic and silly, but then like the ones were just coming up that were just purely nice. And it's like, I thought this whole like Honkai power was creating Hershers of destruction and stuff like this. Why are like the ones popping up that are just like completely gentle and nice and helpful? And it's like, it's just like and it happened far too frequently. And you were just kind of like it was really hard to believe any of that shit, because it's like you couldn't like really, it was just kind of silly, and it just kind of escalated. And then finally, like they were like prepping for Kevin on the moon and stuff like that. And then finally, it was like, yeah, we beat Kevin. It's like, okay, and the moon stuff was still already kind of like pushing it. And then the Kiana became yet another Hersher, the Hersher of Origin. And then they cut to this like next season where it's like, oh, cool, here's this like other world entirely that still kind of references it. So like maybe it's just a different location. I think it was like Mars or something. And it was like, but it was completely new characters. And I was like, I don't give a shit about any of these characters. Like, there's no familiar characters. It's all brand new characters, brand new villains, brand new world. And it's like, yeah, but like I'm not emotionally invested in any of this. So who gives a shit? And it was, and I was like, I stopped. It was just like, yeah, it's just a little too grindy, a little too. Because it's like starting this brand new world with like all the characters with had just like so many grindy mechanics into it, and complicated complicated rotations and stuff like that. It was just like, oh man, like this would have been the time to like go back and be like, let's calm a little bit, let's calm down a little bit, let's go to more simplistic rotations, and then maybe by the end of it we'll get to more complicated ones. But like let's start fresh and have pretty simple shit. But they're like, nope, let's just pretty much keep approximately the same level of complexity. And it's like, okay, like cool. So yeah, it was kind of bad. I mean, and it didn't have this. It didn't have any of like the familiar shit to kind of like justify continuing my interest. So I was like, yeah, I'm kind of done. Got a little too complex. And same kind of for Wuthering Waves. Wuthering Waves combat was a little too complex. Like, if it was more simple, and if the combat and exploration was just more simple, so it was just kind of far more relaxing, then I might have kept with it, despite the fact that its story is still kind of shit. But it's just like, no, like Wuthering Waves had far too much. It required far too much attention and time from me, and it didn't deliver enough story and consistency for me to enjoy it. Like, it was just, again, it's kind of like this willing sense of this sense of disbelief. The willing belief. It's like the suspension of disbelief. Yeah, like the suspension of disbelief was just getting a little too much, and it was just like they kept pushing the boundaries. They pushed it in Honkai Impact 3rd, and they pushed it in Wuthering Waves. And it happened twice. Like I got sick of Wuthering Waves once, and I'm like, okay, well, when Nacida started coming up, I heard some good stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'll come back. Let's try it out, see if it's going to be good. And it was fine. Like it definitely was an improvement. But like the fact that I went through the story, and even though I hadn't doing the story at 1.4, I'm like, oh, so you're still making stupid fucking mistakes and just flat out being inconsistent and wrong in 1.4's story, and like with huge logical plot holes, And then Reseda came out, and it's like, okay, I mean, like, the broad strokes were fine, but it was like, yeah, they just had so many like wrong, inconsistent things in between each point. It was like, I can't believe this world. Like this world, it's hard for me to get invested in this world because you keep like, destroying what I know about the world. It's like, oh, I think I have an understanding of how the world works, and then you're like, then the next sentence comes along, and it's like, nope, we're just going to contradict what we've said before, so you have no clue how it works. And it's like, anyway, I'm done. He had another Wuthering Waves rant. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it for now, but I will be back on later to do more Final Fantasy XIV. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all